He said if he could start over again, he would choose to listen to his intuition more. I was having a conversation with a man, Tom, and he's 64 years old, married twice, and both of his ex-wives passed away. I'll never forget what he told me about his first wife, Kim. During his first 29 years marriage, he couldn't make her happy. And noticed what he said. He couldn't make her happy. He entered into a relationship with a mindset of how could I make this person happy? Instead of thinking about is this person mutually interested? Is this person mutually respect? Is this person mutually appreciate me? But in his case, he came into a marriage with a mindset of, man, I got to do something to make her happy in order for this relationship to work. And because of this mindset, he chose to ignore all the red flags. He chose to ignore all of her mistakes and flaws. And I'm not talking about looking for a perfect person here. But if something isn't feel right, you know deep down in your heart. Each one of us, we all know when something isn't right. If something doesn't feel right, hey, listen to it and move on. But when we are overwhelmed with emotions, we often choose to ignore and look past it. As a result, he suffered consequences. Imagine living with someone that long and never feel truly satisfied. Yes, Tom wasn't really satisfied with his marriage at all. But because of loneliness and because of fear that he would never find anybody else better, he decided to spend his life trying making that relationship work. But luckily, his first wife Kim passed away and he found a second wife. And he said that his second wife was way nicer to him and is better communication than his first wife. In the end, even though it costed him a lot of years to learn to trust his intuition and to trust in his self-worth, he finally figured it out. He finally learned a lesson and continue moving on with his life. Oftentimes, our desire to be with someone, regardless of their toxic personality, is stronger than being alone. You have to realize this, because without realizing this, we often choose to ignore it. And when we choose to ignore it, we make our decisions based on fear. And as a result, we talk ourselves into bad relationships. Deep down, we know we shouldn't, but so many people choose to ignore. Therefore, it's important to acknowledge the strength of our desire for connection and how it can sometimes cloud our judgment when it comes to choosing partners. Many times, people choose to get into relationship out of fear of being alone, out of the fear of not worthy. They would rather choose to be in any relationship than to be alone. I get it. Being alone is scary. Being alone is not easy at all. Loneliness is hard. Loneliness is painful. We have to admit this, because if we try to ignore this, we sometimes end up making decisions unconsciously based solely on companionship and forget to pay attention to our intuition. You got to be strong in a moment of decision. And I'm not talking about being strong all the time, but in crucial moments of decision, you have to be strong. You have to get all the courage that you ever got to make the right decisions, even if it means you may have to be alone for a while. Even if it means to admit that, man, this is hard, but I do it anyway. Because in the moment of decision, if you are not strong enough to make the right decision for your life, it will either make or break you forever. Make sure you don't listen to your ego. Your ego may convince you that you can fix this person or situation because you are talented and special. You are smarter than anybody else. You are a special case. This time doesn't apply to you. That's how your ego tries to convince you to give in that stupid decision. Your ego may say something like, hey, what if your intuition is wrong this time? And try to make you feel good about your stupid decision. You may then agree because a large part of you is overwhelmed with emotions and you want this outcome to work out. You overlook all the red flags and serious flaws from the other person. Red flags often exist for a reason. Don't let your ego override your intuition. It may whisper promises of fixing someone or finding happiness, but ultimately, it's your intuition that guides you towards genuine compatibility. Recognizing and acting on your intuition can save you from long-term heartache. It is crucial to trust that your intuition somehow already knows the result of your future. You may not see it, but your intuition can. It is your inner wisdom that is given to you by God or the universe. So your intuition has special superpower. So it is important to trust it. Don't ignore your intuition and pay attention to warning signs in a relationship, even if you're very attracted to the person. Your intuition is often right, even if it's hard to hear. Don't let your desire for companionship or fear of being alone override your gut feeling. The desire to avoid loneliness shouldn't lead you to accept toxicity or compromise your happiness. Be honest with yourself about what you want in a relationship. Be strong in moments of decision. When faced with a tough choice about relationship, take a step back and assess the situation rationally. Don't let emotions like hope or fear sway your judgment. While emotions are important, don't let them overwhelm your sense of reason. Be mindful of your feelings, but don't let them dictate your decisions. When you are very into someone, it's so easy to look past their flaws and red flags. So be mindful of this bias. Meditate often, and most importantly, stand up for what you truly want, even if it means letting that person go forever. Remember, you only live once. Just make sure you don't live with regrets. Hey, I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you for choosing to listen to my podcast. I love doing this and I do it in my spare time. And your ratings and reviews would mean a lot to me. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. And until next time, never stop believing in yourself and always be your badass, authentic, genuine self.